going on. Coach John
Tournament
Brady.
time. Tournament time.
We'll get Coach John Brady on with us Friday at 8:15. He was going to be with us today. He's got something just came up. Oakley, the intern, on spring break with 13 guys in a 5-bedroom house at the beach. Out of communication for today. Have fun. See you next week. Big day, though. We got Lauren Meadows, man. I was on the phone on the show last night, Buddy Martin show, with you and Lauren Meadows. That was a lot of fun. In Franz and Mr. Crooks covering a lot. It is tournament week, folks. Dudley Dawson, hogville.net, will join us, and Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville. Get your phone out. Take a picture of that QR code and subscribe to the channel. We are growing this thing. We're on 7 platforms live every morning, Monday through Friday.
Right. Twitter, X, and Facebook. Like, follow, share. You guys know the deal. Click on the QR code. Get to it. It's all right. It is tournament time. It is an exciting day. It's the SEC tournament's going to start. We got Nashville kicking out. Franz and Beards rolling around. Lauren Meadows is in the green room. Folks, you got to follow it today. Follow us. Click it, like it, follow, share. Who cares? If you're not up for it this weekend, if you're not excited because it's spring football, follow all that stuff, because we're going to get it all to you if you just click on the QR code.
And we are. And look, we can go. We might go live from Nashville. Who knows? It is big. No, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama.
Yeah,
none of them play until Friday. Okay. But you will have today. You got 4 games.
Doesn't matter. You start today. It starts today.
It starts today. 16 teams, Brendan. It is top to bottom. It's the deepest I've ever seen the SEC. So we'll talk about it and get into great detail. Welcome to the show, folks. I appreciate you watching. Love having this channel growing. And Lauren Meadows down in Gainesville, Florida, the coach, jump in here with us wearing some orange. That's a Gator orange. I can see it.
Hey, right. Hey, I got old school on today, Lauren.
Yeah, you know, I mean, gotta rep it. Gotta rep it.
I got the old reptilian like golf shirt from '86.
Yeah. I've got a when Terry Bowden was at Auburn, he came out with his own line of gear. I've still got some of those shirts. I've got stacks of retro stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s. Of course, my kids all wear it, and they love it. And if you can find that stuff, people absolutely love it. The reptilian Gators.
Right.
Well,
Lauren,
reptilian Gators, that's, we are an alligator. It's sort of,
it is a reptile.
And there's a reptile there. So therefore, that would
I just confirmed it. Yeah.
No doubt.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Thank you.
And you know, I don't know if Florida ever had a live Gator mascot. I think they did.
Yeah, they used to. I think back in the 70s and early 80s they did, which I really don't understand. I mean, I don't know much.
I don't know why.
I have to get into the biology of housing a live Gator for a 4-hour game and transporting and all that. But at one time they did.
Yep. And
then when they brought out the reptilian uniforms, they did have a Gator for the promo. They had a Gator come out. They actually had I think it was a safety that was well versed in dealing with alligators, and he walked the Gator around the stadium. So I can't remember. First name was Nick. Somebody help us out. Nick. But I can't remember.
Nick Bollettieri?
No. It was a safety under McElwain. I can't remember. Nick was his first name.
What's
so
his name?
Well, this is interesting. I one time someone had a tiger cub in a van pulled up in front of J&M bookstore, Toomer's Corner in Auburn.
Wow.
And they said at the time, this was like not that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, said, for $150,000, you could get that mascot. And they said, that's just too much money to spend. Are you kidding me? With the money that these universities throw away for buyouts and for coaches not to coach. Auburn should have a tiger. LSU's tiger it's a big deal. It's Mascot Wednesday. Look, and let me say this, man, Lauren.
Bengal tiger, by the way. I've been next to that tiger, dude. I've stood next to that tiger on the sidelines. Let me tell you, it's a real deal. I've been a little too close.
They used to take an electric cattle prod and stick it in there on his butt, and he would go, roar. I mean, I don't think it.
I think that's probably a little too much.
But you can take a stick, and do it.
No, Rob, stop. We're not on the cherry farm.
But look, here's the deal: don't tap on the glass at the
we
zoo.
do not advocate
animals hate
sticking or beating animals or hurt them or to get them to scream or roar.
Well,
no,
and a tiger will roar occasionally, but
really, you're a tiger expert. You have a Bengal tiger that you went to school for, like, your housing Bengal tiger, safety of Bengal tigers.
Yeah.
So my question is, did I know there was some discrepancy about where Bevo couldn't go.
Oh.
Was that because he almost ran over Uga a few years back?
No, it's because they don't. He's too big, according to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium people. And
okay.
He's big and his horns are wide.
Yeah,
I've been around longhorn cattle before. They're massive. Right. They are 15.
You saw him out in Austin
pounds.
when we were in Austin this past fall. It's out there.
So that's why you can't have the buffalo on the sideline either at CU. So you can't have Ralphie on the sideline because it's too much. I think the crowd gets them too excited too.
Yeah.
But who knows? What do I know?
You get a varsity letter.
Let's talk about some basketball. Can we talk about basketball? Can we talk about I would think that Bevo's poops a lot. So I would just think we're going to watch.
That would not be pretty. Look, basketball starts today, Lauren.
Yes, sir.
The tournament, I'm going to watch every one of these games that I can.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I'm going to be in Memphis. I'm going to be working. I'm going to be doing stuff. But we got the ESPN Plus app, and that's been the big shift with ESPN. Go back 10 years ago, they had over 100 million subscribers. Now they've got 65 or 70 million, but there's equally another 25 or 30 million who are on the ESPN Plus app. You're not going to miss a minute of the action. I think all these games matter because every one of these schools is going to be jockeying for position, especially if they need a win or two or three just to get into the tournament. And I'm sitting here watching locally in Memphis on the news this morning. Penny Hardaway gets Coach of the Year in the American Athletic Conference. Tigers are 26-5. They got some damn good road wins. They won at Clemson, and they're looking at maybe a 7 seed or whatever. They should be a 4 or 5.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, easy, a 4 or 5. I mean, no doubt.
There's a lot of bias against Penny for some stuff that happened with James Wiseman and whatever. I guess that's what it is. The guy he can build a program. He had to start from scratch, lost all of his assistants before the season. It's going to be fun to watch all these conference tournaments. Gators. Okay, now, today, Georgia and Oklahoma play.
Yes, sir.
Porter Moser he's definitely struggling at Oklahoma. Mike White, Georgia's got the longest active winning streak in the SEC with 3 straight wins.
Yeah. After that upset win against Florida, they kind of haven't looked back since then. But playing extremely well. I'm a Mike White guy. I think Mike White is a guy that guys want to play for.
Yeah.
He can relate to players. He looks young. He stays on cue with what's new and what's hip. And I mean, you look at guys like Asa Newell. He's been able to bring guys like that to Georgia, prospective lottery pick. And I mean, you look at Oklahoma. I mean, you think about a team that started the non-conference, went through the non-conference undefeated. I got to see Oklahoma in the Jordan brand. They won on a last minute shot by the young freshman point guard. And I mean, you're like, okay, Oklahoma's got something. And then it speaks to this SEC, Rob, where I think Oklahoma's a good basketball team. It's just like we talked about it way back in December. It's running that gauntlet that had just been the SEC. And I mean, you look at Oklahoma and they're probably going to be, playing in a little bit, but getting, maybe need to get this win to solidify themselves. But Oklahoma's going to be a tough out in the tournament. I mean, I just think on the strength of their non-conference and just being battle tested in the SEC.
Well, it is the part that you just said, battle tested in the SEC for 10 weeks of conference play. You're going to naturally be stronger, tougher, but top to bottom, this league is as strong as I've ever seen. Because you look at number 16, South Carolina. I mean, they take Florida, 70-69. Auburn 66-63. Vanderbilt 66-63 in Nashville across the board. Now I'm being reminded by Shoney, our good friend down in Valdosta, be sure to let others talk today, Rob.
You do a great job, Rob. Do your
Hey,
thing, man.
Lauren.
I love being on with you.
I love being on
we do
Buddy
a good
Martin
job.
show with you and
Yes,
Brendan
sir.
as well. But I just want Lauren. I'm going to hit you up on this. Let's go over these matchups today. There are 4 of them in Nashville, and that's a quick. From Memphis, less than 3 hours to get up there. I'm going to get up there for some of the games.
Good for you.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, you got South Carolina. Well, let's see who we got first. South Carolina, Arkansas to start the day. I'm gonna go with the Gamecocks on that one. I think the Gamecocks are playing a lot better. First team all SEC performer at the 4 spot. I think that, like you talked about the game against Florida. Florida led all of 3.9 seconds in that first game. Yeah. And so they like you said, they've played well. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. We were in Columbia the night that they let Ole Miss off the hook. They had Ole Miss at home, and I just don't know, where Arkansas is. I mean, obviously they had the big win, against Auburn, or who was that? Yeah, against Auburn, and but I'm gonna go with the Gamecocks on that one. I'm gonna go the 12-19. Once again, you talk about a team went through the the non-conference. I think they were 10-4, and then just once again struggled to get through that buzzsaw that was the SEC. But I think top to bottom, I like the guard play at South Carolina a little better, and once again a potential lottery pick. So on the back end, and I think that South Carolina takes care of business.
Yeah, women's basketball, big. I just got an invitation from Maury Gaston, the tip-off club in Birmingham tonight at 6:00. Dawn Staley's going to be speaking. And damn, I wish I'd have known about that and planned that, because I would love – she played for Virginia.
Yes, sir. Debbie Ryan, right?
Listen,
played for Debbie Ryan.
She's so competitive. And something about her, she goes to those men's games too.
Oh yeah,
she is the ambassador of South Carolina, and she speaks her mind, and hell, I respect that. I mean, she ain't gonna back down, but damn, if you play for her, you better work your ass off, or you're gonna be sitting next to her.
Right. Well, she's cut from the cloth of, I think some people, somebody like Don Staley, and even, a lot of them, that have gotten into coaching. I know they're not in. Lisa Leslie, who coached a little bit, Cheryl Swoops. They come from an era where you had to fight for the attention of the world, of the basketball world. And I think you see that in Don Staley's coaching. So, if you get, maybe you can work it out to get to maybe 20, 30 minutes of it. But, I've had the opportunity to meet Don a couple times. And when we were there in Columbia about a month ago, my wife and I both got to spend some time with Don. We happened to be that first game that was in Paris. I don't know if you remember, the Gamecocks played Notre Dame out in Paris, France, and my wife and I were there and got to spend some time with her as well. So it was just a happenstance, it coincidence, and but. Yeah, you talk about Don Staley and what she's, like you said, her presence. I'm sure they roll her out, for they roll her out for recruiting visits. I know she's active in supporting softball. You see her at football with Shane Beamer. So, yeah, the Gamecocks, they got Colin Murray Boyles. He and Chloe Kitts are kind of like the new it couple in college basketball. He dates Chloe Kitts, not to get all her business, but they're pretty public with it. So you got the best player at South Carolina dating the best player on the women's team, dating the best player on the men's team. So it's kind of cool story. But like you said, Lamont Paris, I think they're playing a lot better. Colin Murray Boyles seems to understand the assignment. And, refresh my memory. He kind of reminds me, you remember the tear that John Wallace took Syracuse on that way back when Kentucky won it with Pitino? I think it was 96. Yeah. Colin Murray Boyles kind of has that in him. So, if South Carolina is to get in the tournament, he has the ability with his ability to affect the game on the glass, as well as, extend his range to the outside, that he can make a mark there. So that's why I like South Carolina. I think Colin Murray-Boyles is on everybody's radar as far as the NBA is concerned. And this could maybe be that run, especially with the success that South Carolina had last year. They know they can play basketball.
Yeah.
They just had some near misses.
Well, I mean, when you keep coming up close, eventually you either
through.
fall apart or you get over the hump.
Yeah.
But I think Paris can coach. Another thing interesting on this basketball that you're talking about, with LSU and Mississippi State. I mean, Chris Jans is the first coach, I think, ever in his first 3 years that is likely, they're very likely going to get there, to taking Mississippi State to the NCAA tournament. And I think he's won 20 games each of his first 3 years. Starkville is one of those underrated venues for basketball. The Humphrey Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's a special place. You go back to Babe McCarthy pretty much built that program. But I've been to games in Starkville. They are myopically focused on anything in the maroon and white. And I love basketball. Also, looking at that tip-off club in Birmingham, they'll have 750, 800 people there tonight. Basketball, this is so exciting to watch its evolution in the SEC footprint. And it absolutely takes the fans being as angry after a basketball loss as they are in football to make basketball something special. All right, let's talk about Texas and Vanderbilt. Mark Byington, in his first year at Vanderbilt, this I think they got to 20 wins.
Yeah, they're 20-11.
Think about this. You're a 20-win team, and you're the number 12 seed in the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. Vanderbilt's favored by just about 2.5 points. I mean, Texas, once again, a team that maybe underachieved a little bit in the first year in the SEC. I think they were expecting a little bit more, came in 17-14. Have some wins, but Vanderbilt, I think will find a way to get this win. They'll be playing, it'll basically be a pro Vanderbilt crowd there at Bridgestone. Is it still Bridgestone Arena? Is that what they call it?
There?
Yeah. So, I think the Vanderbilt, Texas just seems to be, and unfortunately, that might be a job that could be open in the off season. I don't think they're as pleased as I've heard. Even Billy Donovan's name floated around as maybe somebody that could come in and maybe be asked to resurrect that program, kind of get it back to where Texas people expect. But, for a first round game, I think Vanderbilt takes this one and Texas remains on the bubble.
Well, Texas is one of those rare, maybe 6 schools in America that are in the top 25 all time in wins in football and in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But not in a while. I mean, Rick Barnes was there 17 years. I think he went to one Final Four.
Right.
They underachieve at Texas. And Rodney Terry, you watch their teams play this year, they'll be really good early. Then they just go into a dead spot. And they try to make it all up late. Kind of reminds a lot of us of our college careers. We come the first part of the semester, then we just kind of disappear and we show up on finals week and can't do that. It's coming from someone who took 6 years to graduate.
And the thing about Texas is, you build it, they're supposed to come. They got that brand new Battleship Galactica Death Star arena there on campus, right on the main drag there in Austin. And you got it, they didn't build it. And especially, you look at the success of the women's team. And, what they have in front of them and what they've been able to do this year. And people do make comparisons. And, I think that Rodney Terry, don't know him really well at all. But from what I heard is, the natives are restless there. And, that there could be some changes there. So, and like I said, I think that arena has maybe exacerbated the pressure to win there. So, it's just going to be interesting. But I think Vanderbilt will take that one today in the second tilt, and Texas remains on the bubble. And at 17-13, they could probably be NIT bound for sure.
Yeah, one thing that I'm interested in is, in going back to Vanderbilt, there's a lot of money in Nashville. A lot of it's entertainment money, a lot of it's old money in Belmead. And my Vanderbilt people, a lot of my family members graduated from there, from the law school, and went to school there. The old money, it's not as likely to do anything. It takes something really, really big to get them involved. Wealthy people are not as much inclined to get into NIL. Rich people might be. But wealthy means you've been doing it a long time.
Right, yeah.
Family businesses, kind of the first generation employs, the second enjoys, and the third destroys. But they're starting to get some interest at Vanderbilt. Chris Lee, our good friend, Southeastern 16, he's on here a lot, and he talks about, at Vanderbilt, they go to the same people every time to ask for money. And they've got to expand it, but their fan base has shrunk by being so bad for so long in everything. So it's going to take them a while. Typically, if you're Tennessee or Auburn or Alabama and you're playing Vanderbilt in Nashville, you're going to have 70-80% of the crowd. That's got to change. Money is big. Texas has more of it than any athletic program. Texas A&M does. But now that A&M has to share being in the SEC with Texas, they've lost that advantage. You know how many double-digit win football seasons A&M has had in this century? And then they spend a lot of money. One.
Yeah, I was going to say one. That's I remember one.
2012 with Johnny Manziel. And a lot of these programs, let's face it, they're 8-5 programs, and they're spending a ton of money. You look at, and in basketball, now you got to spend more on basketball. So this is fun. LSU and Mississippi State. Matt McMahon, man, he came into he was called to a 6-alarm fire.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the pumper was out, and they've been doing hand bales, The guy didn't forget how to coach from what he did at Murray State.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
they're putting a lot of NIL money. They've made a huge financial commitment to that.
Yeah, I mean, LSU. I mean, they've really done a great job. NIL. You look at gymnastics, softball. I mean, they're jumped in on everything. Obviously, football, and once again, a very proud and historic fan base when it comes to basketball. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, we can run down the list of guys. Obviously, you start with Pistol Pete and Shaq and others, that Stanley Roberts, Chris, who we know as Chris Jackson, who was originally from the state of Mississippi, by the way. But I mean, I think that just they had such a the specter of the probation and just downright, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be cheating now, but it was cheating then and being caught on tape and phone conversations. I mean, that stuff just, it kind of went away as far as NIL, but let's face it, the academics and those that tend to have the name of provost and chancellor and president, they don't like that, and so they had to kind of get from behind that. And then you mentioned Mississippi State and just, what the hump means to the people there in Starkville and what they've been able to build. They've done pretty well in the transfer portal. They got Florida's kid that actually was thought to maybe be the next up at Florida. Didn't work out. Riley Kugel is starting to kind of find his way as well. And I mean, I think Mississippi State is I think a lock to make it to the second round. I like Mississippi State, like the way they play. Didn't look great against Florida, but I've had some big wins here down the stretch. And like you said, I mean, the longest SEC winning streak is 3 games. So, I think Mississippi State, sends LSU home. And once again, I mean, who wouldn't want LSU? They got a winning record. So they're probably NIT bound as well.
Based on what happened last year, make the case to your team in the locker room before they play, hey, this can really help you with your seeding? Or
Excuse
is
me.
that
I mean,
just
I
total
misspoke.
BS?
LSU is 14-17. So
Yeah.
they'll probably be 14-18 and regroup for next season. My
Yeah.
apologies.
That's all you can do is
Yeah.
regroup. But hey, so tell your team something to get them fired up for this tournament. Because Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, is checking in with us right now on his Google Chrome. That's his backyard there at Northwest Arkansas in Springdale. He covers the Hogs, Hogville.net. Dudley, Lauren Meadows, he's on the Buddy Martin show. I'm with him Tuesdays and other days of the week, GatorbaitMedia.com. Coach Brady going to be back on with us Friday. It's a busy week for him, but we're talking about this tournament and getting the symphony going here. What do you tell your team? And I'm going to throw this to you, Lauren, and then I'm going to go straight back to Dudley. But to say this helps your seeding when last year both Florida and Auburn played for the championship, and neither one of them improved their seeding. And sadly, the Buffaloes took out the Gators, and the Yale lock people took out the Auburn Tigers in Spokane. By the way, Bruce Pearl, never complain about where you're going because it gives your players an out if they don't win, and the fans.
I think you'd say, like you just said, let's not worry about the seeding.
Yeah.
Let's line up and play basketball. And I think that's where, Bruce Pearl maybe learned from last year and some of his comments about their location. And I think Ty Golden has taken the kind of the attitude that, line them up and we'll go play. We're not worried about, I know a lot of people are upset that, Auburn could maybe get the number 1 seed in the South and be in Atlanta for the regional, whereas Florida people would have to go out to San Francisco for the West regional. It looks like that's where that's going to be. And I think it's just line up and play. Don't worry about it. Knock them, survive in advance, put them up in front of us and knock them down. And I think that's what you say, even in this SEC tournament. We are in the most competitive conference in the country in the most competitive time in its history.
Yeah.
So, why not us? If you're an LSU, if you're in Arkansas, if you're one of the teams that's kind of on Oklahoma, why not us? We've played hard, we've played well, we've been in games against all these basketball teams. So why not us? And then for the big dogs, let's just play. Let's start the process. Like Kyle Crook said, he's talking to Lee Humphrey and Patrick Young, guys that have been to Final Fours, won championships. This is part of the process. So we don't say, well, if we get beat, we'll go home and regroup. Winning the 3 games for the guys that are in the top 4 seeds, and then winning the 6. We want to go 9-0. And if you're talking about being a Final Four team, that's the attitude you got to have. So I think that's the message.
I agree. And look, it's bad enough when children whine, but when grown-ass men whine, it really sucks. I can't stand it, man. Here's a guy that doesn't ever whine. He's always on time, and he's got the best-looking backyard of any man in America, Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net. Dudley, tell them real quick how they can subscribe because you put out content every day of the week.
Hogville.net is our website. We cover all 19 Arkansas sports, many of whom are doing very well right now, a couple who aren't, and made a switch yesterday with the women's basketball coach. But yeah, this sports writing thing's been very lucrative, as you can tell behind me. It's going to be interesting. If I'm talking to the Arkansas players today, and I'm sure that Coach Cal has. First of all, he'd say, well, this SEC tournament doesn't matter. I've said that for the last 15 years. It's worked out really well for me. But are y'all going to let South Carolina punk you twice? We're a couple players shorthanded, but, everybody's playing well here. Let's go, do this. And, I did like his phrase that at 0-5, they were in a coffin, but they forgot to put the nails in. And
I love it.
It's been an interesting comeback for them. A couple of close wins. To book in a season that had an opening loss at Tennessee that made you think, what in is going to go on here. But it should be an interesting game at noon today. As I get older, I'm all about the noon games, not the 8:45s or 9:45s or whatever. So I'm thrilled about a noon game and looking forward to seeing it. And unless they just go belly up today, they're going to play in the NCAA tournament, and I wouldn't have given you much money for that at 0-5.
Well, Cal is all about just motivation and getting those guys to play their ass off, and that's a great quote. We forgot to put the nails in the coffin. Let me say something about one of our sponsors, guys. Winter Timber Outdoors, located in Athens, Alabama. They've got an aggressive expansion plan. Should hear some announcements soon about where they're going to be, but they're in Athens, Alabama, a big store. It's a big store. Is under construction in Auburn, but they're looking to hit the SEC towns, Gainesville, Fayetteville, Athens, the Memphis market. That hopefully will be announced soon. I know they've been looking at locations, but they have everything you need for the shooting sports. And I'll be real quick. It's turkey season right now. It's about to start. You got to get your box calls, slate calls, the diaphragm calls, your ground blinds, your turkey, the decoys that you put out there. You put the hen, that gobbler comes up there, and watch out, man. They do the strut and they start bowing up. God, it's unbelievable. As anybody that hunts turkeys will tell you, it's like chasing a ghost. Now, we got ghosts over here at the cherry farm. I can tell you right now. By the way, about 3 years ago, we're in the dining room. This is a big house, and there was an earthquake, and we felt it. There was a little tremor, and it went through the house, but it's so structurally sound and well built by the architects in 1930. There was very little movement, just a little sway. As my dad always says, you have to build sway. At engineering, it's a term. But anyway, Winter Timber Outdoors, folks, get out there. They're open every day of the week. All the shooting sports, all the gear you need, Sitka, duck camp, Dixie decoys, ammunition. I recommend you try the new Migra turkey loads. The Migra duck loads are the best I have ever shot with. The Migra turkey loads, you can get them all at Winter Timber Outdoors. Lauren, Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal in Knoxville will join us in just a minute. He does a show every morning, 6 to 9 Eastern, Monday through Friday in Knoxville, covering the Volunteers. Dudley just nailed it about John Calipari. They're 0-5, and he rallied them. What's your thoughts on looking at Arkansas, like year 3 Todd Golden compared to year 1 John Calipari?
Well, I mean, the bricks are kind of coming into place for Todd Golden. I mean, he's got a couple year head start, and I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm a big Kyle guy, and I believe in his ability to recruit. I think he doesn't get enough credit for the X and O's of this thing. I mean, if you look back to when, I kind of remember Kyle, I guess, when he broke onto the scene in that same, 95, 96 seasons there at UMass and kind of broke through and finally got over the hump, beating Temple when they were in that league down, up there. And, I mean, you look at what Kyle was able to do at Kentucky. I mean, he wasn't able to get over the top, but, I think that people forget as much success as Dean Smith had, he only won 2 national titles at North Carolina. So they're not as easy to win as people would think, even when you got the best team. So, I'll step back a little bit. I mean, I think my thing is Arkansas people love their sports, but they really love their basketball. And, the worst thing to happen to Penny Hardaway was John Calipari coming to Arkansas, because I mean, now that recruiting base that I think endears themselves to Penny. I mean, Arkansas, when they were rolling, they were tagging a lot of those kids from the Memphis area, the metropolitan area, right around that area, and building some really good basketball teams. So I think just give Calipari some time, give him an opportunity to get into the, let's just put it out there, the big money that can bring those people to those that type of talent to Arkansas. People are going to want to play for Calipari. Anybody that plays for him loves him. And, he has a great relationship with, the one thing I like about Coach Kyle is, and I know this for a fact, he does a real nice job of endearing himself to the community that he's in. And I think that's important. He did it in Memphis, did it there in Lexington, and I'm sure he's starting to do it in Fayetteville. So, with everybody from the business people to the African-American churches, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, so he does very well with that, and genuine too. I mean, I really believe that. And, as much willing and dealing as coaches have to do, I think that Kyle does a nice job of some sincerity when it comes to those kind of things. And like I said, the way his players talk about him, I think speaks volumes to that. But, Golden now in year 3, he started out kind of built it, brought some guys in, he talked about Will Richard kind of being the first of the, the spark almost. And then you think about how it got, if Walter Clayton goes to St. John's instead of coming to Florida, what does this thing look like? So it's like Will Richard, they saw 6 guys in Nashville when they went to see Will Richard. Will Richard was the only one that came. He was kind of the spark. And then Walter Clayton was like the catalyst to really take this thing to the next level, where you're grabbing one of the top 5 transfers in that class. And he decides to come to Florida instead of going to, where would St. John's be with Clayton as his point guard? And where would look where Florida is now. And then you talk about Elijah Martin, who, a winner, somebody that they identified to come in and kind of just be that defensive, addition that they needed, somebody that's just a bulldog on the perimeter, identifying guys like Condon and Thomas Houck, who weren't as highly rated, but fit what they like to do. So I think, once again, I think Kyle will be on that same pace. And I think for the years to come, you're going to see, Arkansas, it's hoops. It's hoops at its finest. They've got history. They've always been involved. And, I think just give Kyle time and Arkansas will be where they need to be.
I got to tell you one thing about Florida this year. I'm going to give them a lot of credit. I don't know Coach Golden that well. Been around him a couple of times. But what I do know is that basketball wasn't necessarily the focus of everybody at the start of the season. And all they did was put their heads down, went out and played basketball, and really did well. And, I'm not commenting one way or the other on anything, but about focus and winning basketball games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did a pop-up show, Franz and I and Brendan, in September about that topic. First thing I did was say, let me get one of our attorneys. We had Mary Turner, our friend in Tuscaloosa, and she represents Alabama basketball players. And you'll see her here soon in the media with some stuff going. She's a great attorney, and we did it right, said, hey, these are merely allegations. And as you know, as a true grit journalist, and you too, everybody has their day in court. There's 2 sides to the story. And I will say this about John Calipari, Dudley and Lauren. When he lived in Memphis, he lived in a beautiful house on Red Acres by the golf course in Memphis, right next door to Bishop Stieb of the Catholic Diocese. And I believe he's a near daily celebrant at Mass. And he's one of the 2 winningest coaches in college basketball in America. And a guy named Nick Saban from Monongah, West Virginia, is I believe, daily celebrant at Mass. Being a Scotch-Irish Catholic, it makes me kind of proud, but I digress.
No doubt.
But I think that there's genuine respect. I think Cal's a great coach. I remember he and his good friend John Chaney that time in the locker room.
Yeah.
That Marcus Camby. Y'all remember him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He came on the scene, and I remember 1979, John Thompson at Georgetown. That guy, that was the year Big East. Was that the year, Dudley, Big East was founded, 79 or 80?
Right around in there, I'm pretty sure. Right about the same time as ESPN.
Yeah. Oh, no coincidence there. Huh?
No, not at all.
Right.
I never thought about it. That's exactly. Dave Gavitt probably went to the double wide trailer in the field in Bristol, Connecticut, and said, we could do something magic together. You think that happened, Dudley?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've written books about it. You know,
Right.
they've written books about it. But it's you talk about Coach Cal. I'll give him a lot of credit. I believe the first time I met him in person was in I always mess up how you say Massachusetts. But I think I got it did pretty good there. But
Chew.
That's why I always go UMass. Spelling, but Arkansas coming off a 1994 national championship went and played in Springfield, that place, in 1995, and Marcus Camby and them just blew the doors off of them. And obviously Arkansas got all the way back to the final game, but was impressed with him then. I've been more impressed with how he's acted after they got 0-5 because. I mean, I like to think I'm pretty logical and calm, but I'd have been throwing stuff and telling the fans to where they could go and all that kind of stuff. But he just kind of weathered the storm. Lost right now. He's got his two best scorers, out, and somehow with 7 people, they're getting this done. And there's some guys over there on the bench. But they ain't gonna get in except the last minute. That's just how it is. But I've been amazed at how a team that fouled so much now doesn't foul very much at all. And still is playing better defense than it was when it was fouled.
Yeah.
And then also the other thing is there's it doesn't make any sense. But sometimes a team's jigsaw puzzle can work best if you take one out instead of putting it in. And this addition by subtraction thing has somehow worked out for them. They're playing defense. And also, I have never in my 40 plus years of covering college basketball seen a team that missed so many dunks and layups and shots inside that dotted circle as this team did early. And now at least half of them are going in. And it's just, you were like, how in the world did that not go in?
Yeah,
no doubt.
Let's bring in Vince Ferrara, 99.1 The Sports Hour.
Nice bear, man. Nice bear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Love it. Love it. I tell you, Vince, we got Lauren Meadows from the Buddy Martin Show and Gator Bait Media. Y'all met, I believe, up in Knoxville this year.
We did.
Florida game.
Absolutely.
Hell of a God, what a game that was. Just another weekend in the SEC. Vince, tell them how they can follow you because you do a morning show 5 days a week, baseball, the Vol Network, and you get a little bit of sleep every now and then, like an owl. But how can they follow you? And then tell us what's going on up on the Hill.
Yeah, appreciate it. You can follow me on all the socials. It's the same handle. It's Vince Sports, VINCE Sports. Our website has a podcast to our morning show. I do it with John Wilkerson, who's a longtime voice of Tennessee baseball. He and I call those games. There's been a lot of, home games, non-conference games, still undefeated at 17-0, the number one team in the country, just home runs, striking people out, walking a bunch of times and just getting it done and going into play where they welcome in the Florida Gators to start out.
We're on our way.
Both teams just easing in, right, Lord?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's so much going on. I've done so many double and triple duty, like host the show, and then there's basketball, and then there's baseball all in one day. It's just that overlap time and spring football. They're practice 3 this morning. So
hey, just be happy you're busy, man. You could be a federal employee.
No, this is
God.
True. This is true. But no, there's a lot going on. It's a lot of fun. And in a few hours, or as soon as I get everything together, I'll be driving to Nashville. I'll be there for what should be the best SEC tournament, men's basketball tournament we've ever seen. And that is a high bar because that's always so entertaining, but so much on the line for all those teams, and just can't wait to get there and be in the mix. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Vince, you had some pretty cool notes I want to get to, and we're going to bounce it around here on this Wednesday edition of Sidelines about Tennessee. Kind of touch on it. You had some good structured notes. That's a financial term, a structured note. But and one thing about him, Vince,
yields and dividends you going into now?
Tranches, scattergrams. Here we go. We got a dead cat bounce. We lost Lauren. Lauren come back with us, but Vince, hit those top stories going on up on the hill in Knoxville. Then we're going to get moving around here because I know we're kind of crossing into spring practice, baseball, softball, football. What's not to like?
Yeah, curious to hear what the guys, their experience are with football interviews right now during spring ball, because Tennessee is actually, they've been doing it the last couple of years, but they're making a bunch of their freshmen available to talk to the media. Like, that's our run, is talking to freshmen. And we've talked to George McIntyre and David Sanders, the 5-star offensive tackle, and a bunch more. And these guys just are killing it, like great personalities and stuff. It makes me sad that for so long, the Nick Sabans and other coaches that wouldn't let the freshmen talk to the media. I was there when, Julio Jones was a freshman, and like we had to wait till the playoff to, or the bowl game or whatever to be able to our SEC championship game anyway. But before we could talk to Julio Jones, it was crazy.
Wow.
These kids now with NIL deals, they have already done interviews. They need to be out there, and they've all handled themselves great. So that's been a cool aspect of it. Josh Heupel runs through all of his assistants to where everybody gets a chance to speak. It's not one voice of the program, so that's refreshing. And then the other day, they gave us 7 viewing periods, which thankfully for me came just after my show, so I was able to get there and watch. A lot of times they practice in the morning, and I'm not always able to get there just from a time standpoint. But so that part of it is cool. They had pro day yesterday with 16 players, including, all 32 teams are there. So that was a big thing. And then Tennessee baseball with another win, like I mentioned, 17-0. Basketball, double bye on Friday. Lady Vols waiting on what they will get seeded, probably a 5 seed for the NCAA tournament, probably on the road. And Lady Vols softball killing it as well, top 10 teams. So there's just a ton going on right now. I'm probably forgetting some stuff, but we got it all covered, and be excited to do reports and stuff from Nashville. So if any of you guys need anything, let me know from Nashville. We'll be glad to chime in with anything we got.
And really, guys, as we all know, there's so much involved in covering these games, and Vince is an absolute machine. Great stuff there. Dudley, what about up in Fayetteville? And then I'll bounce back down to Lauren. Are the players you having any access to? And by the way, did you see on X Kirby Smart put out a great message last night? You're NIL. I want guys that love the game, that are ballers, that get after it. And, that's a theme that needs to resonate, Dudley.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that happened here yesterday, or has happened here this week, was Mike Neighbors, the women's basketball coach, who, stepped down, and whether that was a mutual decision, they're going to couch it in the way they want to, but had been to 2 of 8 NCAA tournaments. As a sports writer, you're not supposed to become friends with coaches and all that, and I don't. But if I'm friends with them before they get to be a coach, that's a little different. He's a great guy. It just wasn't working out. They decided to make a move, $1.1 million buyout. And interestingly enough, 2 of the top names being mentioned, Kelly Harper, former Tennessee coach, and Molly Miller, a young lady from Springfield, Missouri. And Missouri, I know, is very interested in her as well. But she goes into today with a 27-game winning streak at Grand Canyon. So it seems like there might be a blonde coaching here next year.
Yeah.
But it's, that's been a big thing. Obviously, with football, every period has been open this year. We were surprised. Now, there are a few caveats. You can come and you can watch, but if somebody gets hurt, you can't tell anybody. If somebody's not practicing, you can't tell anybody, or you can't come back to practice. So it's interestingly set up in that you can watch all you want to, but you can't talk about everything. So, I'm a little on the fence about that. We used to go to practice all the time, and I thought it was good, but I don't think I need to sit there for 2 or 3 hours, and I don't think I need to do that this year. But I do like the openness. But since everybody has their own in-house media thing these days. They're keeping some of the stuff for themselves. And, I kind of understand that, like I've said many times on this show, NIL, transfer portal, lawyers, agents, in-house media. I'm getting close to the end of my career, thank goodness.
Well, what was the old line? Sex and drugs and rock and roll. Now it's NIL, portal, agents. We're a sanctuary show.
I participated in one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to participate in the other.
But let me say something real quick about one of our sponsors. But I want to say this because this is a great conversation because we're getting real live data. Landers Ford, folks, get out today. By the way, to my sister Elizabeth, happy birthday, big sister. She's never, ever let me forget I'm her little brother. Every day she reminds me. It's part of the deal. I love her. But look, Landers Ford is open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. You're looking for a car, truck, SUV. They're great folks to work with. You can get a lot of the process started online. Go in there and ask for our good friend, Brad Bellamy, the general manager. If you're having your vehicle serviced, they provide pickup, bring you in, take you back to your home, to your office, wherever you are. It's a great deal. They have 3 dedicated drivers, okay? The process is quick. They've had people take 30 minutes, Brad told us about last week. Had somebody with challenging credit. They spent 8 hours. That's pretty damn dedicated. 8 hours to get the person approved. The person was in tears when they walked out. I love these people. Don Kitchens, Kent Ritchie. They are great people from the Mid-South. Don played at Ole Miss. They're great. Their motto is, if you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, you probably paid too much. And they're right down the street from our great friends, Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville. God, they've got Barber, Filson, Pendleton, Schaefer, STS. My wife has the greatest collection of boots of any woman I've ever seen, short of Beth Dutton. She probably has better looking ones, though, and she doesn't have to have a drink every time she breathes. And
she probably isn't looking to kill you.
No, that's right. That's right. Except if I bump into her in bed. She's very sensitive. She said, I'm like a bull in the china shop. But look, Hewlett & Dunn, over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots. Something they do that's really cool, live from the Boot Room concerts. Man, they've got some great performers that come out there and stories from the Boot Room. You ought to see this store. They have the largest collection of duck heads I've ever seen. Again, open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. They'll make you feel right at home. It's a great place to go buy stuff for your wife, girlfriend, for your kids, birthday presents. St. Patrick's Day is coming up this Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. You can go out there and get a great gift. And they got these polyclay, these new earrings, or as they call them on Gunsmoke, ear bobs, earrings. They have unbelievable new earrings out there. Ladies, check them out. Gentlemen, go in there and ask for Raven Carpenter. She'll help you get something great for your wife.
Now, if I only had something green to wear, Monday, maybe a few of the Celtics shirts.
Yeah, exactly. You're a big Boston Celtics fan. Lauren, real quick, and I'm going to go back to Vince because Vince gets to work with one of the great voices, John Wilkerson. We were honored to have him on right after Tennessee won the World Series last year. Do you get access to Florida players under Billy Napier? And I think Billy Napier is misunderstood because he's quiet.
Well, I'll take the first one. So we do get access to players. I'm kind of jealous. Vince mentioned seven periods of practice. I would love to get 7 periods of practice. We get pretty much the same period, 15 minutes of practice for most days. It's just it's individual, it's footwork. It's, you get the opportunity to see who's there. You get to see a little routes on air. So for me, being a receiver guy, that's kind of cool because you can really assess. Florida's really excited about their receivers. They got some guys that can really roll. So you can see that. But, it's about 15 minutes. And then we do get players, but we don't get freshmen. So, and the only freshman that we were able to get last year was during the season was DJ Lagway. And I think that's kind of when he went on his tear. It was like, dude, if I don't give these guys DJ Lagway, then it's going to be, so it's very limited. I think it's, and I don't, and with no disrespect to Billy Napier, but I want to say this, it's very Saban-like. I mean, from what I understand, it's very much, he learned under Saban. I think he would be the first to say that he's a Saban disciple and consider Saban a mentor. So a lot of it, from what I understand, is very much like the world that was, Saban in Tuscaloosa at the time. But as far as being quiet or misunderstood, I would agree with that simply on the fact, and you've heard me say it on the show, Rob, that everybody you talk to loves Billy Napier. I mean, from the players, I spend time with some of the players in the spring because a few of them are softball fans, so they're around. You see them on campus, coaches you talk to, they just use the term good dude, great person, like being around him, like working for him. He's a good guy to work for. I mean, everybody you talk to. And then he is a little kind of an introvert. And, and I think when you're not winning, like people maybe expect you to, it kind of lends itself to some people thinking maybe you're not as, as good a person as you seem to be, or people, kind of calling him, Sunbelt Billy and things like that because he hadn't been, maybe winning. But then these last 4 games kind of changed the narrative. And, but I think in all fairness to Billy Napier, I think I've been, very critical of the product that Florida's put on the field at times, and some of the game adjustments and things that I see that just can be frustrating if you really know the game of football. But I've always followed it up with the fact that those inside the Hefner Center believe in him. And I think you could point to Florida's 4-game run coming back from that trip to Austin. He never lost that football team. Yeah. And it's a football team that everybody involved believes in the mission of what they're trying to accomplish. And it's palpable this spring. It's a different mode with this football team right now.
Yeah. I gotta ask you is now, if you can you only check into practice at 3:00, not any before or after, and you only have 5 minutes worth of water, no fun. I love that Saban commercial.
Oh, they're awesome.
Right. Yeah.
This isn't a spa.
Right. I mean, you come and no, they're a little bit, you kind of hang out in the Hefner, kind of sit around, watch a little TV while you're waiting, because obviously they're never, you're never on time, or you may go a little early. So you want to get there a little bit early and be prepared to stay a little bit late. But, he's been real good about making assistants available, and a lot of charisma on that staff, a lot of guys that I think really enjoy the game of football and working with young people. And it's going to be interesting, but I think, it's one of those things that I got into this during the Napier era, so that's all I know. So, for me, it's just par for the course.
Vince, I got to ask you something along the line. In the past, you didn't hear so much anger and just vitriol about fire this coach, because the reporters knew him. They played cards with him at Lake Martin. They drank with him. They hung out with him, and there was a mutual respect. There wasn't, but it's easy to call for the firing of someone you don't know. I think what Tennessee's doing needs to be followed at all the schools. I mean, quit being so damn paranoid. It's not what plays you have in the book, it's when you call them, isn't it?
Yeah, as far as the success that they've had, it's across the board in all the sports. So really that talk, and maybe nobody has had more go back 10, 15 years, nobody has had more coaching changes and uprisings for coaches and things like that than Tennessee, and buyouts, the coaches that no longer are there. So, but it's a different time now. And then Danny White's been in the middle of he was on our show this morning, and, you just run through the success of this sport and this sport and this sport across the board. Everybody makes the postseason and everybody has high standards. So it is a different world, but having that right coach changes everything, and so it is that's the key piece. One, the athletic department and the leadership, but then when you have the right coach, then all the plays and the players will follow, and you'll have the success. And that's the way it is in a lot of sports right now for the University of Tennessee.
Bobby Petrino and the motorcycle have entered the chat, but
that's true. I'm not saying
Morris is not able to figure out how to get on the chat.
It's the SEC, so like everybody's got drama in their past and even in their present. But yeah, just the volume of what it was for Tennessee. And just real quick to what Lauren was saying, just to clarify, we got 7 periods on Monday morning. That's kind of the one long period we get, and then it's back to the way you described.
Okay, all right.
It's the norm, 0 to 2 periods. You get stretch, you get the individual drills, not much variety. Every once in a while,
are very, very important. You can tell a lot from
Right.
calisthenics.
So every once in a while, they'll throw you a bone and they'll throw some red zone, and But that was kind of the one time you get a little bit more. But it's very consistent, probably across the board in the SEC.
And with respect to both you gentlemen and my colleagues in the Florida media, I respect your ability to write and paint a picture on such little information. I mean, it's very impressive. I mean, it really is that guys can go and get it. And some of the work that you all put out and the colleagues that we have here in the Florida media, I mean, it's impressive. So you could tell guys have been doing this a while, doing it well, and just kudos to all those guys with the limited information, being able to get it out to the masses.
Well, one of the things I would say, and Rob, this, we've talked about this a lot. I'm not looking to make friends, but I'm looking to be fair. And there I've covered tons of college football, basketball, baseball coaches around. Not only baseball, there's only been 2 for like 40 years. Yeah, but the thing, I don't care whether they like me, but I care that they respect me, and the way they're going to respect me is by being fair. And if you're not winning, especially in this day and age, it's a results-oriented business. You can't sit around on a radio show, you can't sit around on your website and say do the Niedermeyer thing. Everything is fine. There's nothing wrong. And I've always found that I've had plenty of coaches that wanted to have a word with me. But once I explain my words, they know that I'm not out here to get you, man, but you got to win.
Yeah. It's very similar to the courtroom, the defense attorney, the prosecuting attorney, and the judge. I mean, there's mutual respect. I had a DA tell me one time, my perfect idea of the perfect trial is prosecution and defense are both on their A game, and that's all we can ask for. And if you're the coaches, I think it's really neat to see the way a coach reacts to a reporter, because I know I've been told some things. They said, this is off the record, and damn it, you better not ever violate that. Now, Vince, when you were in Tuscaloosa, Julio Jones comes up out of Foley, Alabama, home of Kenny Stabler and Perry Uno Thompson, who's at Auburn now. A lot of great players come out of there. But it's hard to argue with what he did. But the more the fans know these players and can identify with them, the closer they get and the more they want to go to the games. I would think you would want to introduce them and write stories every day and have them on your show.
We would. The fans would want that, but the coaches aren't interested or motivated by that. So, I get why they make those decisions. It's about football. It's about winning games. That's what the reason why they're paying those coaches all the money they are. That's what pays the bills, is the wins. So they're doing what leads to wins, not what leads to what fans want. And today is just a brand new world with all the different dynamics.
Yeah, I'll just say part of your contract should be you are there for winning, but also don't forget the fans. I mean, hey, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Awesome stuff. All three. This was a lot of fun, man. And we will be on today at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on with Ronnie Sanders. Hopefully Doug Dean can join us. We're going to have Tucker Osborne on talking some SEC basketball with us for a little bit. So it'll be a lot of fun. Get to the Buddy Martin Show tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern as well. But But thank y'all so much, because every one of y'all, everything you said, I will go back and watch this show, and a lot of people watch it later in the day. Get pen and paper handy, man, because there's a lot to learn every single day. So thank y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Let me say something about My Town Roofing, people. Everybody needs a roof over their house. MyTownRoofing.com in Collierville, Memphis. They work in the Mid-South, roof repair and roof replacement. 901. Get it out there. 834-7663. Hassle-free Memphis Roofing Company, My Town Roofing. Major Fusel, Corey Carter, Chris Fiedler. Y'all know these people. Martin, I'll just say it. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world. God bless you. See you this afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern.